Hello everyone, Shane here with Shane's Premier League prediction show for match week 10. Let's crack on with the show, as I'm sure everybody knows what the show involves at this stage. So now, my predictions for starters. The first game of the weekend sees Old Trafford take centre stage as Manchester United take on Tottenham Hotspur. I reckon this will be a close fought encounter at the Theatre of Dreams, with maybe a 2-1 victory for Manchester United. Manchester United's home form has been good so far, but Spurs' away form has been also fantastic. So something has to give, I'd imagine. So it'll be a good game. I reckon it'll be 2-1. Harry Kane might score for Spurs. Romelu Lukaku and maybe Marcus Rashford for Manchester United. This game will be worth a watch, I feel, folks. But as I said, it might be a Manchester United win. That's who I'm backing anyway. Now, on to Arsenal and Swansea. I feel this will be another comfortable win for the Gunners. They had a fantastic win last week up at Goodison Park. They just about squeezed over the line in the cup, however, in midweek, but that was with mostly the second string out. Super sub Nathan Niles scored 2 goals to send the Gunners through to the quarterfinals of the League Cup. However, back to the Premier League now. Swansea's form hasn't been the best of late. They've had a couple of good away performances this season. However, I can just see this game go one way, with maybe Alexis Sanchez scoring a goal. Swansea have had a couple of good defensive performances on the road this season, so you can never be sure, but I'd imagine it's going to be a win for the Gunners. On to Crystal Palace and West Ham. It's hard to call this game, folks, but I've gone for a West Ham United win, 3-1, because of their win in midweek against a very, very good Spurs side at Wembley. As I said, both of these teams' performances have been really indifferent throughout the season so far. Both are struggling. Crystal Palace have really only had the one decent victory against Chelsea in the league, and they've also had a couple of wins in the cup. But as we know now, they don't count anymore because they're out. Their league form needs to improve rapidly if they have a fighting chance of staying up in the league this season. I reckon they're in good hands with Roy Hodgson, and it's early days yet. We're not even 10 games in. But they need to go on a bit of a run now, but it mightn't happen this week. So West Ham to win 3-1. Liverpool and Huddersfield. Liverpool need to get back to winning ways, and fast. However, this won't be easy after Huddersfield had a wonderful victory last Saturday in the Premier League against Manchester United. This shows that Huddersfield are going to be no pushover this season, and they're here on merit in the league, but they're not going to go down without a fight. And with Liverpool's form lately, I can see maybe Huddersfield scoring a few goals if Liverpool defend as badly as they managed to do so on Sunday. But I have 2-0 down here anyway, as Liverpool have only conceded 1 goal at home in the league all season. Hopefully that form continues, as Liverpool need a win. They need to get their season up and running at Anfield on Saturday. On to Watford and Stoke. Watford have been having good performances all season, and Stoke have had the odd good performance as well. I can see this game being a draw. Stoke had a bad enough performance last week against Bournemouth. They managed to get beaten, whereas on the other hand, Watford had a decent performance at Stamford Bridge, but they also managed to get beaten. Both teams need a result, so I'm going for a 1-1 draw here, folks. On to West Brom and flying Manchester City. Despite Manchester City's 0-0 draw in the Cup in midweek against a very, very good Wolves side, Wolves are top of the Championship at the moment, and they showed with an absolutely brilliant performance at the Etihad. However, I feel City might be back to their slick best this weekend, and I've gone for a really, really unlikely score here. I've gone for the likes of the Watford demolition that City had maybe about a month ago at this stage in the league. 6-0 I've gone for to City. They've been good this season, and I feel, as I said in my previous video in the review show, that they're odds on for winning the league in my view, as they're playing some brilliant stuff. Bournemouth and Chelsea. Bournemouth had a good win at Stoke last week. Chelsea are also back to winning ways. They've had 2 wins in a row now. I feel this is going to be a tight encounter. I reckon Chelsea might win this 2-1, with Alvaro Morata maybe scoring, and maybe Michy Batshuayi with the form he's in at the moment, and maybe Stanislas might score for Bournemouth. We'll see what happens. 2-1 Chelsea have gone for here. Brighton and Southampton. This is another tough game to call. I reckon it's going to be a 1-1 draw. Southampton are defensively sound all season. Brighton had a wonderful win against West Ham last week at the London Stadium. However, I feel it's going to be a much tighter encounter this time around between Brighton and Southampton. I reckon it's going to be a 1-1 draw, for the reason being that Southampton are tight at the back. Brighton are good on the ball, and it's going to be an entertaining game, but I reckon there's going to be no separating the sides here, folks. Leicester and Everton. I've also put down a draw here. I feel that Claude Puel will take a little while to settle in, and a draw will be a good result to get him up and running at the King Power Stadium. Everton are also managerless at the moment. David Unsworth has taken caretaker charge, as I said in the review show. And they had a good performance in midweek at Stamford Bridge. However, they lost. And a point would be satisfactory for them as well at the moment. However, they're in the relegation zone, and they need to pick a result up from somewhere, but they can do with a win. I cannot see it coming this weekend, as Leicester are usually good at home against middle of the table teams, and as we know, folks, Everton are in the relegation zone at the moment. Hopefully this is a false position for them, as this is not traditionally how they do. I know they sometimes get off to a slow start, but this has been the worst I can remember now for 7 or 8 years, so hopefully they pick up their form sooner rather than later to keep themselves in the mix. But it's early days yet, folks. If they go on a run, they obviously have a chance to getting into the European spots once again. But not at the moment. Their performances haven't been good whatsoever, and hence Ronald Koeman's departure during the week there. So that's it for that game. And the final game of the weekend takes place on Monday evening, Burnley and Newcastle. Again, another draw here, folks. Newcastle have been doing it alright so far this season, and so have Burnley. So I cannot see any separating the teams once again here. John Joe Shelby might score for Newcastle, and Sam Vokes has a good chance of scoring for Burnley, as well as Chris Wood. Take your pick there. 1-1, can't see any separating them. So now, on to my 3 certainties for this weekend. Liverpool, Arsenal, and Manchester City are my 3 certainties for the weekend. Hopefully I'm successful this weekend, folks, as I've only managed to get 2 out of 3 in the last couple of weekends due to shocks occurring. So hopefully there'll be no shocks in my picks this weekend, and everyone will be happy. So now, on to Super 6. 5 of the games are Premier League games, so here we go, and there's 1 game from the Championship. 2-0 to Arsenal, 2-0 to Liverpool, 1-1 in the Watford and Stoke match, 3-1 to West Ham against Crystal Palace, and I've gone for a 3-0 Norwich win against Derby County. So that's Super 6. Hopefully my picks are okay for you folks. Right, on to my fantasy picks for the weekend. I have David De Gea in goal. He's really the best goalkeeper in the world in my view at the moment. So he's a good player to have in your goal any week, folks. I've Ben Davis, Marcus Alonso, Kyle Walker, Kieran Trippier, Decore, De Bruyne, Xhaka, Firmino, Vardy, and Aguero. Yeah, and then other players I might include that are not in my team at the moment would be obviously Leroy Sané, David Silva, Eden Hazard, Alvaro Morata, Alexis Sanchez, Mohamed Salah, Philippe Coutinho, Harry Kane, the usual folks. You know the way at this stage. You can use your own heads as well as me giving you predictions, because I'm not always right, as you know at this stage. But my best intentions are there to keep the bright side out. So hopefully I've put you in the right direction and frame of mind with your fantasy picks and score lines, etc. This weekend. So now, finally, this weekend we'll go on to the Paddy Power Hot Shot. This is where 6 goal scorers are picked to score first. So my tips this weekend, I got 1 last weekend. I think Wayne Rooney scored first against Arsenal, so that was all I managed. So this week's picks are Arsenal and Swansea, I've gone for Alexis Sanchez. West Brom and Manchester City, Sergio Aguero. Bournemouth and Chelsea, Alvaro Morata. Brighton and Southampton, Gabbiadini. Leicester and Everton, Jamie Vardy. And Burnley and Newcastle, Chris Wood. That's just about it, folks, for this weekend's Premier League preview show. All the best to you this weekend. Hopefully you're successful, and I hope you have a fantastic weekend. If you've liked the video, don't forget to subscribe, comment, to do whatever you want, really, folks. But it would help me if you did subscribe, was it would make me really happy indeed. So do your best, as the fella said. Maybe I'm hard to put up with, I don't know, but everybody's entitled to their opinion. And as I said, you're entitled to comment, good, bad, or indifferent. Have a good weekend. All the best. Take care. And we'll see you next week, back with another review show. Bye bye.